It's tulip time! We're smack dab right in the middle of tulip time in the Netherlands. And if you love flowers and springtime and outdoor activities and festivals, then you're going to want to start planning your trip to the Netherlands to visit during tulip time. Now is the best time to start planning for next year because this time to visit is very popular, and I don't see that popularity going away. The season is only, about 2 months long. It goes from about mid-March through April to about mid-May. And there's 3 main things that you want to put on your list to visit during tulip time. Of course, number 1, the biggest one is Keukenhof Gardens. The most glorious tulip gardens and springtime blossoms that you are going to see. It is extremely popular, and it's popular for good reason because it's gorgeous. I do generally recommend, if you're planning a tulip time visit, to visit in April because your chances are much greater of getting, the wide variety of blooms. Sometimes that late March can be a bit iffy. Sometimes things are just starting. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on what the season's like. Again, that mid-May as well, early mid-May could be iffy depending on the season and the weather. But Keukenhof Gardens, you're going to want to plan this trip in advance. It is generally a day trip from Amsterdam, but you'll go from Amsterdam to the Keukenhof Gardens. I'd recommend, if you can plan to go early in the day or later in the day, just before it closes, because the crowds are generally not as heavy. Now, number 2 on the list for things to visit, and generally you want to tie it in with your Keukenhof visit, is visiting the tulip fields. They're in this, there's some that are in the same area, so it does make a really lovely day trip to do the tulip fields as well as Keukenhof. And with the tulip fields, you can go to a farm, you can see what the process is for planting and harvesting and what goes into those tulips that you either buy cut or you buy in bulbs. It's a really fascinating process, and to see those gardens, they're picture perfect. They're going on and on for miles in different colors and varieties. Really fantastic. Number 3 of the things to do while you're in the Netherlands during tulip time is to visit the Royal Flora Holland auction. So this is, it's one of the largest commercial buildings in the world, and the amount of flowers that go through there in a single day is just, it's mind-blowing. It really is fascinating. If you enjoy flowers, like the vast majority of flowers that you purchase cut go through this auction first. Really fascinating, one of those marvels of modern engineering, and the process of how they bring the flowers in, how the auction goes, and then how they're sold. Really interesting. And there's other things to do around that area as well. So those are the top 3 things. Now, of course, this region is absolutely gorgeous, and there's tons of other things to do in Amsterdam and in the area in general. The big question for visiting the Netherlands during tulip time is, do you do it with a river cruise? Or do we plan this all independently? Or do we do a combination of the 2, which is kind of my favorite way to recommend? So on a river cruise, of course, you'll visit the tulip gardens and you'll visit Keukenhof, but you might be a little bit more limited to the time that you get there. It may work out wonderfully for you. Plus, you get to visit all these other different things, like, visiting the windmills, and it's all included. And really, a river cruise is such a lovely way to see the tulip fields. Oh, it's stunning. And it's really such a gentle way to travel. I do highly recommend it. But, that independent travel gives you a bit more control about what you see, where you go, how long you stay. So there's really pros and cons to both situations. No matter what, when you're ready to start planning your next trip to the Netherlands or want to go visit tulip time, don't hesitate. Reach out, give me a call. This is Alicia with Evening Star Travel. You have a great day and a lovely spring.